Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Your Football Predictions, the series where we try and predict all of the upcoming weekend's Premier League football. Those were my predictions up there for Game Week 2. It's safe to say that I didn't do very well. I got 0 correct scores. It was a tough week. We had Brentford beating Manchester United 4-0. It's safe to say that nobody got that right. Arsenal beat Leicester 4-2. Chelsea Spurs 2-2. It was a tough week, but as always, you guys got involved and did better than me. Well done to the 3 golden hat winners. If you want to get involved in our mini online league, I will put the link down in the description. It's not a sponsor. It's called Superbru. It's just a fun, interactive way to get you guys involved. And it has a little leaderboard as well. So Game Week 2 goes to Londoner, Geordie and Ma Young. So well done to you guys. I won Game Week 1. That's probably the only week I'm going to win this year, so I won't let you forget it. And well done to everyone who got involved down in the YouTube comments as well. I will stick a few on screen now. Thank you to Chloe, who sent in a donation with her prediction last week. So a massive thank you for that. And as I say, get involved down in the YouTube comments or on the online league. But as always, we will go through all of the games for Game Week 3 now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. We do a prediction video every week and we'll do throughout the entirety of this season. We'll start things off with the 12:30 on Saturday where Spurs take on Wolves. Spurs have won 1 and drawn 1 of their opening 2 games, beat Southampton 4-1. First game of the season, a very good win, lots of goals, very much in control of that game, and then just about managed a point against Chelsea at the weekend. Chelsea, for me, were the better side, but at the end of the day, it's how many goals you score, and they just about managed it with seconds left to go. Harry Kane heads it into the back of the net. For me, VAR once again becomes the biggest talking point of the game because Cucurella has his hair pulled left, right and centre and there's no foul given, and as I say, Spurs don't mind because they scored the goal and they took a point from that game. So yeah, well done to Spurs. As I say, they still stuck in it till the very end and got a point out of that. And they're taking on a Wolves side who lost their opening game against Leeds 2-1 and then drew 0-0 against the promoted side Fulham at the weekend. They have not won in their last 9 Premier League games, so they obviously ended the season bad. Not a great start with just 1 point on the board, and they're looking for a striker. I think they only had 1 shot on target against Fulham, which just isn't enough. They're being linked with Ramos, the Benfica striker. They're being linked with Mapai from Brighton. They need to bring in someone who's going to put the ball in the back of the net, especially while Jimenez is still injured. So yeah, I've got to back Spurs. I've gone 2-0 to Spurs for that one. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs now. We have got Leicester taking on Southampton. So Leicester, not the greatest start for them either. They were winning 2-0 against Brentford, opening game of the season. Ended up drawing 2-2 and then lost against a very good Arsenal side 4-2. So they were able to get a few goals. Maddison scored a goal. There's links to him leaving. Schmeichel's gone. There's links to other players leaving. They're one of very few teams in Europe who haven't gone out and spent this summer window. I'm really not sure what Leicester are hoping to do this season. They've been very poor from set pieces, which I'm sure is something that Southampton will have taken note of. Southampton lost their opening game 4-1 to Spurs, as I mentioned, and then they were 2-0 down against Leeds, and then they were able to bring it back 2-2. So it's like the opposite. Leicester were 2-0 up against Brentford, drew 2-2. Southampton were 2-0 down against Leeds. They were able to bring it back to 2-2. Could we see something similar in this game? Maybe. Southampton, the 2 substitutes came on and saved the game. Adam Armstrong, Geordie lad, and Orabo, the pair of them linked up and managed to get a goal, and then were able to get another one as well. James Ward-Prowse is still there, which is huge for Southampton. I've still got them down there as being potential relegation rivals though. But we'll have to see how they get on this season. And Leicester, I think they'll be fine. If they can hold on to those players I've just mentioned, Maddison, Barnes, they'll be okay. But it's just where they want to kind of be after being in the Champions League, being up there, and now is top 10 a good finish for them now? It's really hard to say. So I have got a prediction in, and as much as Leicester maybe should have done better against Brentford and did their best against Arsenal, I have still backed them here. I've gone 2-1 Leicester there. So let me know your prediction for that one down below. Next up, still at 3 o'clock, we have got Fulham taking on Brentford. So Fulham, one of the promoted sides, and have started off very well. 2 draws, one of which against Liverpool, where they ran the show, or should I say Mitro ran the show in that one. And then, as I mentioned, a draw against Wolves as well. Mitro had a penalty against Wolves that he missed, which I'm sure he will be not very happy about. I'm really hoping Mitro has a good season for himself and for Wolves. I think it's a confidence thing, because I remember last time Fulham were promoted, Mitro started the season really well and then kind of dripped off a little bit. I'm hoping that missing that penalty does not hurt his confidence. And I mean, his head was on fire as well, because by the end of the game, I think he was just fed up that he wasn't having a great game. Could have been sent off, to be honest, for a challenge and then an outburst at one of the Wolves players. But yeah, I would still say a good start from Fulham, taking on Brentford, who've had a very good start, haven't they? 4-0 against Manchester United. And I know that Man United have imploded, but Brentford totally took advantage of that. They pressed so high. You know, Man United trying to play out from the back, trying and do something. And Brentford was all over them. Don't give them time. Don't let them think. And at the end of the day, I know on paper, Manchester United have the better side. They have the more expensive side. But it's still 2 teams of 11 blokes. If you get in their face and you make it tough and they're low on confidence, force some errors. They did really well. Yeah, really good job from Brentford there. And they started the season off really well last season as well, and that did taper off a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how long they can keep this good run going. Now, in terms of a prediction, I've actually backed the draw. I've gone 1-1. I think Fulham are at home. I think we saw what a great atmosphere they can give already this season. I think that could back them to really push Fulham here. But judging by the 2 opening games, I think this could be a very tight game and hopefully an exciting one as well. Next up, we have got Crystal Palace taking on Aston Villa. Crystal Palace have had a very tough start to the season. Arsenal and Liverpool in the 2 opening games was never going to be easy. Losing 2-0 against Arsenal, but I thought they held their own. They had moments in that game where they could have scored a goal. Were not able to quite do that. But overall, I thought they gave a pretty decent account of themselves. And then picking up a draw against Liverpool. Now, Liverpool have not been good to start the season, and I will get onto them in a minute. But generally, a point there I'm sure they'll be very happy with. And we'll probably be looking at this game as a chance to get their first 3 points. Aston Villa did not have a good start, losing 2-0 to promoted side Bournemouth. Have made up for that in a way, winning against Everton 2-1. But despite having, you know, some really good possession, some good attacking moves, although Ollie Watkins was really good. Danny Ings took his goal with perfection, didn't he? Moved it over onto his left like an arrow down the side of the goal. Goalkeeper was completely unsighted. Great goal from Danny Ings. But defensively, especially going into the last 10 minutes, Everton could have scored. They could have had 1 or 2. So I think Crystal Palace will be better to take advantage of that than Everton are, who don't have a striker. And another issue is that Villa's Carlos, the brand new centre-back, is now out for 9 months. Is going to need surgery, which is not going to help. I've backed Crystal Palace. I've gone for a 1-0 Palace win in this one, their first win of the season. And the final 3 o'clock kickoff, we have got Everton taking on Nottingham Forest. So Everton are one of 3 teams still yet to pick up a point this season, losing both of their opening games. Lost against Chelsea first game, and then, as I mentioned, lost against Aston Villa. They need a striker. They're trying to do everything through Gordon at the moment. And don't get me wrong, I think he's a very decent player. But they need more than that. It looks like Dele Alli is going to go off to Besiktas or somewhere else. He's clearly not doing it for them. And Gordon himself is being linked with Chelsea and all sorts. So we'll have to see how they get on. But they really don't want to be losing any players. They really need to be buying more players. Taking on a Nottingham Forest side who lost their first game of the season against Newcastle, but got their first win of the season at the weekend against West Ham with a 1-0 win. It's put them in 10th place after their first 2 games, and as I'm sure one of the favourites to potentially go down this season, I think a win against West Ham is not bad at all. And I have actually backed them in this game. I've gone 1-0 Nottingham Forest. I think it has taken, or it will take a little bit of time for those new players to really gel, but if they can get it right, there could be a decent side this season. And I think the Everton's is the opposite. They've had these players and they're just not quite working. I think they need to try and bring some players in. I know they've brought in Cody, the centre back. They're trying to fix things. But they've come off the end of last season low confidence. They needed to have a really kick-start this season. And Everton will be looking at this game as playing a promoted side and thinking, this is where we can kind of get things going. People are putting Everton down as candidates for relegation. I think they're better than that. I can't... Right now, I can't see it. I can see why people are saying it. But I think they can come good. But I'm going to back Nottingham Forest for this one anyway. On to the 5:30 game, we have got Bournemouth taking on Arsenal. Bournemouth, one of the promoted sides, had a great start to the season, beating Aston Villa 2-0, and then went on to play Manchester City at the weekend. And no real surprise, they did lose that game. They knew what they were in for. They went out, they tried to defend, but once Man City got one, they were going to get a few. And I think it could well be similar this weekend, taking on an Arsenal side who are just one of 2 teams who have got all 6 points so far, winning both of their opening games against Crystal Palace and Leicester. Jesus got a double in his game at the weekend, and now play a promoted side in Bournemouth, and I think Arsenal will be the favourites, and they are the team that I've backed. I've gone for a 3-1 Arsenal. It's just strange. They've got a lot of young players in that side, and I think that when they're flying and they're high on confidence, that they are really flying. You know, I think they could beat anyone. But it'll be very interesting to see how they get on this season. I still think they could do with just that, maybe one experienced player. So just bring in this window that can just hold everything together when things aren't going their way. He can pull everyone together. I think they've got a very young, a very exciting and talented side. And as I say, when they're doing well, they're doing well. But I think they could still just use that anchor. But yeah, for this one, yeah. Well, that's the thing. If Bournemouth score first, then who knows? Maybe it opens it up. Because we don't know how Arsenal will react. But if Arsenal score first, I think they can go on and get a few, and Jesus is clearly looking very good for them at the moment. On to the Sunday now, in the first 2 o'clock kickoff game, we have got West Ham taking on Brighton. So West Ham, one of the 3 teams still yet to put a point on the board, losing their first game against Manchester City, which is fair, but losing 1-0 against Nottingham Forest, that was unexpected, and West Ham, a side that I thought could do well this year, and we are very early. Write nothing off at this point in time. As I've mentioned a million times, the season always starts off a little bit all over the place, and then as we get on, things settle in, and you really get a good idea of where people are going to finish the season. That's why Premier League predictions for the season are always hilarious, because if you do it off the first few games, it's normally all changed by the end of the season. But they are taking on a Brighton side who have started the season well. They beat Manchester United 2-1 in their opening game. And then a solid 0-0 against Newcastle. Even as a Newcastle fan, I can admit that Brighton were the better team that day. Thankfully for us, Nick Pope had a fantastic game. We saved a few off the line. Brighton will probably be disappointed that they weren't able to finish more of their chances, but taking on a West Ham side who will probably be feeling a little bit low after the first 2 games, but are at home and will see this as a chance to try and redeem themselves. So I think it could be quite a close game. I think it could probably go either way, and that's why I've just gone for a 1-1 in that one. Next up, still at 2 o'clock on the Sunday, we have got Leeds taking on Chelsea. Both teams have won and drawn their opening 2 games. Leeds beating Wolves 2-1, then drawing 2-2 against Southampton. Chelsea beating Everton and then drawing 2-2 against Spurs. Leeds, as always, providing the entertainment, goals galore in both of their games. I thought especially in the Southampton game, Rodrigo looked really good, got himself a double in that game. I think with players like Rafinha, Phillips leaving, they need players to step up. I think Rodrigo could well be one to watch. Would be tempted to put him in my fantasy team if I didn't already have Kane, Son and Haaland. So I don't think he's going to get in ahead of them 3, but certainly one to be looking out for. I thought Bamford did okay. I think he needs to have a big season. And Jack Harrison as well. I think in both games to start the season, he's looked good. Taking on a Chelsea side who are, as I say, are trying to make something happen this transfer window, bringing in a whole host of players. Cucurella, Sterling's looked good. I think they'll be disappointed with the Spurs game as much with the officiating as anything else, to be honest. I thought they were the better team in that game, but as I say, it's who scores the most goals, and I'm sure Spurs will be the happier side with that draw than Chelsea would be. But taking on a Leeds side, I think they'll be feeling relatively confident going into this one. But as I say, start of the season, Leeds have started well. They'll be high on confidence, and I'm hoping for goals. So I have backed Chelsea. I've gone 2-1. I wouldn't write Leeds off. I really wouldn't. If I hadn't done a few draws already, I might be tempted to put down another 2-2 draw, but I won't. I'll back Chelsea, but it'll be interesting to see how they get on in this game. And then on the Sunday at 4:30, we have got Newcastle United taking on Manchester City. Funnily enough, the only 2 teams yet to concede this season, and Newcastle, I've no doubt, will be hoping to keep it that way, taking on a very good Manchester City side. Newcastle, as I mentioned, won their opening game against Nottingham Forest before drawing 0-0 with Brighton. Nick Pope had a fantastic game against Brighton, and I think he will need to have a fantastic game again against Manchester City because they will be putting Newcastle under a lot of pressure. But I think defensively, Newcastle are pretty strong. I think Botman looked good in his opening game against Brighton, won aerial duels, won tackles. Shaw's looked great, Trippier, and I'm hoping Target will be back. He missed the Brighton game, hoping to see him back in the lineup. But there's no doubt Newcastle will have to work hard to, first of all, keep Manchester City away from the goal, and second of all, if we get chances, we've got to take them. We're not going to get many chances on goal. Manchester City had a lot of chances on goal when they beat Bournemouth 4-0 at the weekend. 19 shots to be exact, 4 of which hit the back of the net. I thought De Bruyne looked great. His goal outside of the right foot around the goal, he was magnificent. Loads of talk about Haaland. Obviously he didn't score, he got an assist for Gundogan's goal. I think it was Phil Foden was coming down the left-hand side and should have squared it to Haaland, but had a shot. And Pep Guardiola actually got asked about it, and he said, we're still getting used to playing with a striker because they've played with the false 9 for so long. In fairness, if I was Phil Foden, I probably would have had a shot as well. He was nigh on in the 6-yard box. And yes, if he'd squared it to Haaland, he would have scored, but they knew they were going to win that game. They'd had that many shots. Haaland only had 8 touches the whole game and only had 2 passes in 90 minutes. But it's funny because, yes, he didn't get a lot of that ball. He's being marked constantly. But what that does is create space for other players. And I've no doubt that they will get used to him being there. And I'm hoping we can try and keep him quiet this weekend as well. So, prediction time. I mean, my heart's saying 1-1. My head's saying Manchester City are very good. I think Newcastle are good. I think we're at home. The atmosphere is going to be amazing. But I just think Manchester City are that good as well. You know what? I'm going to try and do reverse psychology. So I'm going to go 2-1 Manchester City. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm jinxing it by backing the other team. And we'll see what we can do. And to finish off on the Monday night, we have got Manchester United taking on Liverpool. Manchester United, the third team still to get a point on the board, losing both of their opening games against Brighton and Brentford. The last time they lost their 2 opening games was 1921. It's been over 100 years since Manchester United last lost their 2 opening games, which is mental. What is going on there? I mentioned it when I spoke about Brentford or Brighton earlier. They're inviting the pressure. There was, I think, Martinez, the new centre-back, took the goal kick, gave it to De Gea. There was no option right. Eriksen clearly being hounded by a player. Where does he pass it? Just boot it. Kick it away. Pass it to Eriksen, who's clearly being marked. Loses the ball. People are blaming Eriksen for losing that ball. I'm blaming De Gea. De Gea can see there's someone behind Eriksen. Eriksen can't see there's someone standing behind him. He shouldn't have given them the ball. Half the goals in that game were their own fault, and yeah, but credit to Brentford. They made them do that. They pressured them. They made them make the mistakes, and they've just got so much to do there. It's crazy. Taking on a Liverpool side who, in fairness, have drawn their 2 opening games. 2-2 against Fulham, where Fulham, to be honest, ran them off the park, and then 1-1 with Crystal Palace, but Núñez getting a red card. He'll be out for 2 or 3 games now. Have they given Man City the title already? I would say no. As I say, I think it's a long season. They'll be disappointed with the start they've had, but they can come back. They've still got to play Manchester City. Could they beat them? But one thing they do know is that they've got to be winning games. However, I haven't backed them to win this game. And I've not backed Manchester United to win it either. I've gone 2-2. I think Manchester United at home, after a poor start, what's going to get you going more than playing, a big rival side, Liverpool? I think this could be a very exciting one because it's 2 teams here who haven't started the season well. Big rivalry between the 2 sides. Let's make it a good one. I've gone 2-2. Loads of goals. And there you have it, guys. Those are my predictions up there for Game Week 3. Be sure to get your predictions down in the comments below. As always, I go through all of your YouTube comments, and I always shout out some of the comments in the next video. So if you want to shout out, comments down below. And as I've mentioned, if you want to get involved in my little mini league, online league, there's a leaderboard. Be sure to click the link down in the description. It lets me know who won the league, who got the wooden spoon. As I say, I won Game Week 1. Londoner, Geordie and Mayung won Game Week 2. Try and see if you can win Game Week 3. But as always, thank you for watching. Drop a like if you have enjoyed my prediction video, and subscribe if you want to see my prediction videos throughout the season. Get those notifications on. Be sure not to miss any of the upcoming prediction videos. Enjoy the football this weekend. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.